If your mind has been stuck replaying the same thoughts and you can't make it stop right now, this moment is for you. Nothing needs to be figured out. Notice the physical contact of your body, where it's supported, and let that contact register first. There's a subtle shift that will happen here, and you don't need to force it. Just stay with the next few moments and let the system respond. Right now, effort is what's keeping the loop active. As effort drops, pressure drops with it. Bring attention to the area behind the breastbone, not to change it, just to register what's already there. That tight, compressed feeling is a signal of mental acceleration. Acceleration eases when the body senses stability. Let the shoulders hang without adjusting them. If they soften even slightly, that's enough. Now allow the breath to enter on its own. No pulling, no timing. As the breath leaves, let it take a little longer than the inhale. Not pushed, just unhurried. That longer exhale signals the nervous system to stand down. Pressure begins to ease. When that signal repeats, this is the same reset your system responds to. Every time it's overloaded, you don't have to learn it again. Thoughts don't need to stop for this to work. They slow automatically is less than #0. 1 hash is greater than when urgency drops. Notice how the jaw is positioned right now. Let the teeth separate slightly. This small release reduces internal command signals. When commands fade, the mind stops pushing forward. Another breath arrives. Exhale leaves a little longer again. Heart rhythm begins to space itself more evenly. Even spacing supports mental clarity without speed. You may still be aware of thoughts lining up. They no longer need a response. The body is learning that nothing requires immediate action. That recognition is what breaks overthinking. Let attention rest low in the torso for a moment. Not searching, just resting. Resting attention reduces internal noise. Noise reduction frees processing capacity. As capacity frees up, urgency fades. This is regulation, not distraction. Inhale arrives naturally. Exhale remains slower and smooth. That rhythm stabilizes pressure sensors in the chest and neck. Stable sensors stop triggering alarm. Without alarm, thoughts lose their edge. They become optional information. Notice the hands. Let the fingers rest without curling. Open hands signal non-action. Non-action tells the brain it's safe to pause. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale stays longer, steady, regulating. The mind no longer needs to check what's next. Checking is a form of urgency. Right now, there is nothing to prepare for. Preparation signals drop away. Notice how the forehead feels. Allow it to smooth without effort. When facial muscles release, threat detection lowers. Lower threat detection slows internal speech. Thought speed begins to match breath speed. Slower breath, slower thought. Inhale remains easy. Exhale continues a fraction longer. This pattern increases tolerance for stillness. Stillness no longer feels like pressure. Overthinking relies on tension to stay active. Tension is releasing now. You may notice gaps forming between thoughts. Nothing needs to fill them. Those gaps are where regulation stabilizes. Stability does not require attention. Let the chest move freely. With the next inhale, exhale leaves longer, controlled, calm. Heart rate variability improves as the exhale lengthens. Improved variability supports calm alertness. Calm alertness stays clear now, and it will soften naturally later. If rest is needed, nothing is shutting down. The body now recognizes this pace as safe. Recognition prevents the loop from restarting. This rhythm continues even when attention drifts elsewhere. The system keeps settling on its own. This steadier pace is already familiar as less than #0. 1 hash is greater than to your system. It knows what to do here. Nothing additional needs to be added. The nervous system responds to repetition, not effort. Each calm breath reinforces safety signals. Notice how the chest no longer feels compressed. In the same way, even a small reduction matters. Small reductions accumulate into stability. Stability is what interrupts overthinking permanently. Let awareness move to the back of the body. Feel the support there, without adjusting posture. Support reduces the need to hold yourself up internally. When holding drops, thinking slows. Inhale arrives without anticipation. Exhale leaves longer, even regulating. That longer exhale continues stabilizing internal pressure signals. Stable signals prevent urgency from rebuilding. Urgency is what fuels mental repetition. Without urgency, thoughts lose momentum. Notice the neck. Allow it to remain upright, without tension. Tension in the neck keeps alert circuits active. Reduced tension allows them to quiet. Quiet alert circuits mean fewer incoming alarms. Fewer alarms mean fewer thoughts demanding attention. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains longer, smooth, controlled. The body is now operating in regulation rather than reaction. Regulation feels neutral is less than #0. 1 hash is greater than not forced. You might still notice thoughts appearing. They pass without pulling you forward. Passing thoughts no longer create internal pressure. Pressure is what made them feel urgent before. Let the tongue rest gently in the mouth. No pressing. No holding. Jaw and tongue release reduces signal traffic to the brainstem. Reduced traffic lowers background stress tone. As background stress lowers, mental space opens. Space allows clarity without speed. Inhale remains steady. Exhale continues to take its time. That time extension improves carbon dioxide tolerance. Improved tolerance prevents breath-driven anxiety loops. Breath no longer triggers thought acceleration. Thoughts follow the slower rhythm instead. Notice how the eyes rest in their sockets. They are not scanning. Scanning is a threat response. That response is inactive now. With scanning offline, the future loses its pull. Future projection requires vigilance. Vigilance is unnecessary. In this moment, the system recognizes that clearly. Another breath arrives naturally. Exhale stays longer, calm, regulating. Heart rhythm continues to adapt smoothly. Adaptability supports resilience without effort. Resilience feels like quiet confidence in the body, not optimism, not reassurance, just capacity. Notice the abdomen. Allow it to move freely with the breath. Free movement signals safety to lower nervous centers. Safety signals reduce internal command pressure. Without command pressure, there's no push to think ahead. Thinking becomes optional again. Inhale arrives evenly. Exhale lengthens slightly. This pattern continues regulating baroreflex response. Regulated baroreflex stabilizes emotional tone. Emotional tone stays neutral and clear. Nothing escalates. Notice how the shoulders remain neutral. They are not lifting or bracing. Bracing is no longer needed. The body has updated the situation. When the situation updates, old thought loops lose relevance. They fade without resistance. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains smooth and steady. The nervous system is now holding this state automatically. Nothing needs to be monitored. Automatic regulation allows attention to rest. Resting attention prevents overthinking from restarting. This rhythm holds even when attention moves elsewhere. Stability continues to deepen, and softness can follow naturally if rest comes. This regulation is already familiar to your system. It knows how to hold this state on its own. You don't need to check it. Checking would reintroduce effort. Effort is no longer required. Notice how the breath keeps moving without instruction. Inhale arrives on its own. Exhale continues slightly longer. That timing maintains balance. Balance is felt as even pressure across the chest and abdomen. Not flat, not tight. Even pressure keeps internal alarms inactive. Inactive alarms mean no need to analyze. Let attention widen just enough to include the whole torso. No scanning, just inclusion. Inclusion prevents fixation. Fixation is what sustained overthinking before. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale stays unhurried and smooth. With each longer exhale, heart rhythm stays adaptable. Adaptability allows calm alertness. Calm alertness means you're present without tension. Nothing is fading, and softness can arrive naturally if rest follows. Notice the weight of the head balanced on the neck. No forward pull, no holding back. Balanced alignment reduces muscular readiness. Reduced readiness quiets action signals. Without action signals, the mind stops rehearsing. Rehearsal was the loop. Inhale arrives evenly. Exhale remains longer, regulating. That regulation keeps carbon dioxide levels within a stable range. Stable range prevents breath-driven anxiety. When breath anxiety is offline, thought anxiety loses fuel. Fuel is no longer supplied. Notice the space inside the mouth. Tongue rests without pressing. This small release reduces internal urgency signals. Urgency was the driver of repetition. Repetition slows as urgency stays inactive. Slowing feels natural. Another breath moves through. Exhale extends just enough. You may notice longer pauses between thoughts now. Those pauses are stable. Stability does not need to be filled. Filling would restart mental effort. Let the eyes remain steady, without focusing on anything specific. No narrowing, no widening. Neutral eye position lowers sensory threat signals. Lower signals keep the system quiet. Quiet does not mean dull. It means available. Inhale continues without anticipation. Exhale stays longer, even, calm. This rhythm reinforces vagal tone. Increased vagal tone supports steadiness. Steadiness is felt as grounded presence, not numbness, not fog. Notice the hands again. They remain open and relaxed. Open hands maintain non-action signals. Non-action keeps thinking optional. Optional thinking does not intrude. It waits. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains smooth and regulating. The body now recognizes this as a baseline state. Baseline means reliable. Reliable states don't collapse. When attention shifts, they persist. Notice how there's no push to move forward mentally. No planning pressure. Planning pressure was the source of looping. That pressure is absent. Inhale arrives steady. Exhale continues longer. Bharavaflex response remains stabilized. Stabilization keeps emotional tone neutral. Neutral tone allows clarity without urgency. Clarity feels simple. Notice the lower back and hips. Let them remain supported. Support reduces the need for internal bracing. Bracing would signal threat. Threat signaling is offline. The system knows it. Another breath completes itself. Exhale stays extended and calm. This regulated state continues without supervision. Nothing needs to be maintained. This pace continues even when attention drifts away. The mind continues to reset at this level. This steadiness is already familiar to your system. It recognizes this state immediately. Familiar states require less energy to hold. Less energy means fewer internal signals. Fewer signals mean fewer thoughts competing for attention. Notice how the breath keeps its rhythm without guidance. Inhale arrives evenly. Exhale remains longer and controlled. That timing sustains regulation. Sustained regulation prevents the return of mental pressure. Pressure is what once drove urgency. Let awareness settle across the upper back. No adjustment, just contact. Contact provides a clear boundary signal. Clear boundaries reduce internal noise. When noise drops, the mind no longer scans for problems. Scanning is unnecessary here. Another breath completes itself. Exhale stays longer, smooth, regulating. That longer exhale continues stabilizing heart rhythm. Stable rhythm supports calm alertness. Calm alertness keeps perception accurate. Nothing is exaggerated. Notice the throat. Allow it to remain open, without effort. An open throat reduces internal command signals. Reduced commands quiet mental rehearsal. Rehearsal fades when there's nothing to prepare for. Preparation is not required now. Inhale arrives naturally. Exhale continues a fraction longer. That fraction matters. It maintains carbon dioxide balance. Balanced levels prevent breath-triggered anxiety. Anxiety no longer feeds thought loops. Notice how the chest moves, with less restriction. Movement is smooth and unforced. Smooth movement signals safety to deeper systems. Safety signals keep urgency offline. With urgency inactive, the mind stops racing ahead. It stays where it is. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains steady and calm. Let attention include the whole body at once. No focus points. No targets. Whole body awareness prevents fixation. Fixation was the source of looping. Without fixation, thoughts lose grip. They pass, without engagement. Notice the face again. Muscles remain neutral. Neutral expression lowers threat detection. Lower detection keeps internal systems quiet. Quiet systems allow processing without strain. Strain is absent now. Inhale remains easy. Exhale stays longer, regulating. This rhythm supports baroflex stability. Stable baroflex keeps emotional tone even. Even tone prevents sudden shifts. Nothing spikes. Notice how there's no urge to check time or outcomes. That urge depended on pressure. Pressure is no longer present. The body has updated. Another breath arrives. Exhale continues longer and smooth. As the exhale lengthens, vagal activation remains steady. Steady activation supports grounded presence. Grounded presence feels clear and capable. Clear now and free to soften later if rest arrives. Notice the lower abdomen. It moves freely with the breath. Free movement indicates reduced guarding. Reduced guarding lowers internal alarms. Alarms remain inactive. They do not reassemble. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains extended and calm. The mind now recognizes pauses as safe. Pauses no longer feel empty. Safe pauses allow clarity to remain. Clarity does not require speed. Notice how attention stays present, without effort. No drift. No pull. Presence is maintained automatically. Automation prevents relapse into overthinking. Inhale arrives steady. Exhale continues longer. This regulated state remains available without monitoring. it holds on its own. This rhythm continues even when attention moves elsewhere. The system continues stabilizing at this level. This level of regulation is already familiar to your system. It returns here easily. Consistency removes the need for vigilance. When vigilance drops, internal narration quiets. Quiet narration leaves more room for perception. Notice how perception feels broader now, not spread thin, just available. Availability supports clear orientation. Orientation prevents mental looping. Inhale arrives evenly, without notice. Exhale remains longer, smooth, regulating. That longer exhale continues reinforcing safety signals. Safety signals keep urgency inactive. Inactive urgency cannot restart old patterns. There's no fuel for them. Let attention rest at the center of the body again. No scanning. No narrowing. Centered attention stabilizes sensory input. Stable input reduces internal corrections. Corrections were a form of pressure. Pressure has eased. Another breath completes itself. Exhale stays longer and even. Heart rhythm continues adapting smoothly. Adaptation prevents sudden spikes. Without spikes, thought acceleration does not occur. Thinking remains optional. Notice the shoulders once more. They remain neutral, not lifted. Neutral shoulders signal reduced readiness. Reduced readiness quiets action circuits. Quiet circuits stop rehearsing outcomes. Outcomes don't need rehearsal now. Inhale arrives naturally. Exhale continues slightly longer. This timing maintains carbon dioxide tolerance. Tolerance keeps breath steady under thought. Steady breath anchors mental pacing. Pacing stays clear now and can soften naturally if rest follows. Notice how the jaw remains unclenched, without effort. No instruction needed. Automatic release indicates regulation is holding. Holding requires no attention. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains calm and regulating. You may sense more space between impulses. That space is functional, is less than #0. 7 is greater than. Functional space allows choice. Choice reduces urgency. Urgency depended on the absence of space. Space is present now. Let awareness include the legs and feet. Feel their contact and wait. Contact grounds orientation in the present. Present orientation collapses future projection. Future projection cannot form without tension. Tension remains low. Inhale continues steady. Exhale stays longer, smooth. This rhythm keeps baroflex response within range. Within range means emotionally even. Even tone prevents overreaction to thought content. Content loses its charge. Notice how the eyes remain steady again. No scanning. No narrowing. Steady gaze lowers sensory load. Lower load reduces processing demand. Reduced demand frees cognitive capacity. Capacity feels like quiet confidence. Another breath arrives. Exhale continues longer and controlled. Controlled does not mean forced. It means balanced. Balanced breathing keeps internal signals predictable. Predictability prevents alarm. Alarm is absent now. Without alarm, the mind stays present. Notice the upper chest remains open. No guarding returns. Guarding would signal threat. Threat signaling is inactive. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains extended and calm. This state is now reinforced through repetition. Repetition builds reliability. Reliable regulation does not collapse under attention shifts. It stays available. Notice how attention can move without disturbance. Movement stays smooth. Smooth movement prevents fixation from returning. Fixation fueled overthinking before. Inhale arrives steady. Exhale remains longer. With each cycle, the system confirms safety again. Confirmation keeps urgency offline. Offline urgency cannot rebuild momentum. Momentum is gone. This rhythm continues even when attention moves elsewhere. Stability continues strengthening at this level. This steadiness is already familiar to your system. It sustains itself naturally. Self-sustaining states don't require correction. Correction would reintroduce pressure. Pressure is no longer present. Notice how the breath keeps its pattern without attention. Inhale arrives evenly. Exhale remains longer and smooth. That timing continues regulating internal signals. Regulated signals keep the nervous system predictable. Predictability removes the need for anticipation. Without anticipation, the mind stays here. Here is stable. Let awareness rest across the midsection. No tightening. No bracing. A relaxed midsection reduces internal guarding. Reduced guarding lowers threat signaling. Threat signaling remains inactive. Inactive signals don't call for thought. Another breath completes itself. Exhale stays extended, regulating. With each longer exhale, heart rhythm remains flexible. Flexibility supports calm responsiveness. Calm responsiveness feels ready, without urgency. Nothing is being rushed. Notice how the shoulders stay neutral as attention moves. They don't lift. They don't brace. Neutral shoulders signal no immediate demand. No demand keeps mental activity minimal. Minimal activity does not mean empty. It means efficient. Inhale continues without effort. Exhale takes a little longer again. That extension supports carbon dioxide balance. Balance levels prevent breath-driven urgency. Urgency stays offline. Offline urgency does not return later. Notice the neck remains upright and free. No compression. Free alignment reduces muscle readiness. Reduced readiness quiets action impulses. Without action impulses, the mind stops preparing. Preparation fueled overthinking before. Another breath arrives naturally. Exhale remains longer, steady. The body now treats this pace as normal. Normal does not feel special. It feels reliable. Reliability prevents scanning for change. Notice the face remains neutral, without instruction. Jaw is loose. Loose facial muscles reduce sensory amplification. Reduced amplification keeps perception accurate. Accurate perception does not exaggerate sensation. Exaggeration is absent. Inhale stays even. Exhale continues longer. This rhythm maintains baroreflex stability. Stable baroflex supports emotional balance. Balanced emotion remains neutral and clear. There's no pull toward reaction. Notice how thoughts, if they appear, don't gather momentum. They pass without linking. Linking created loops. Loops cannot form without pressure. Pressure remains low. The system confirms that. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains extended and calm. Let awareness include the whole body again, not as a scan. As a single field? A single field prevents fixation points. Without fixation, thinking stays light. Light thinking does not intrude. It waits until needed. Notice how the legs remain grounded. Weight is distributed evenly. Even distribution reduces compensatory tension. Less tension means fewer internal alerts. Alerts are not required now. The body recognizes safety. Inhale arrives steadily. Exhale continues longer and smooth. This pattern reinforces vagal activation without sedation. Alertness remains intact now and can soften naturally if rest follows. Intact alertness supports clarity. Clarity does not accelerate. Notice how attention stays present without effort. No pull toward the future. Future projection depended on unresolved pressure. Pressure is gone. Another breath completes itself. Exhale stays long and regulating. The system now trusts this state. Trust reduces monitoring. Reduced monitoring prevents relapse into overthinking. Relapse requires vigilance. Vigilance is not active. The body knows it. Notice how there is no urge to adjust or fix. Fixing would signal a problem. No problem is present. The system remains settled. Inhale arrives calmly. Exhale continues longer. This regulated state remains stable, even as attention shifts. It does not collapse. Stability persists without supervision. Nothing needs to be held. This pace continues even when attention moves elsewhere. The reset continues consolidating at this level. This regulation is already familiar to your system. It carries forward on its own. Forward movement does not require effort. Effort would suggest instability. Instability is not present. Notice how the breath keeps its pace without interruption. Inhale arrives steady. Exhale remains longer and smooth. That timing continues reinforcing balance. Balance is felt as even internal pressure. Nothing presses forward. Let awareness settle briefly in the chest again. Not to adjust it, just to register. Registration confirms that tension has reduced. Reduced tension lowers mental urgency. Urgency is what once drove repetition. Repetition no longer has support. Another breath completes itself. Exhale stays extended, regulating. The heart continues adapting calmly. Adaptation prevents sharp internal signals. Without sharp signals, the mind does not react. Reaction fades when it isn't needed. Notice the space between breaths. It feels neutral. Neutral space does not demand filling. Demand created pressure before. Pressure is absent now. The system recognizes that clearly. Inhale arrives naturally. Exhale continues a little longer. That extension keeps baroflex response stable. Stable response keeps emotional tone even. Even tone prevents thought escalation. Thoughts remain light and separate. Notice how attention no longer locks onto a single idea. Locking required tension. Tension has released. Locking does not occur. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains calm and steady. Let awareness include the sides of the body. Feel the width without effort. Width counters narrowing. Narrowing was part of overthinking. Without narrowing, perception stays balanced. Balance prevents mental crowding. Mental crowding depended on urgency. Urgency is inactive. Inhale continues evenly. Exhale remains longer and smooth. This rhythm maintains vagal activation. Activation remains steady, not sedating. Alertness stays intact now and can soften naturally if rest follows. Notice the back of the neck stays free. No tightening returns. Freedom here reduces internal command signals. Fewer commands reduce mental chatter. Chatter quiets without force. Quiet feels natural. Another breath completes itself. Exhale stays extended and regulating. The body now predicts calm continuation. Prediction prevents surprise responses. Without surprise, the system remains steady. Steadiness supports confidence. Confidence here is physical, not mental. It's felt as stability. Notice how there's no internal push to resolve anything. Resolution pressure has dissolved. Dissolved pressure does not return later. There's no trigger for it. Inhale arrives steady again. Exhale continues longer. This consistent pattern reinforces reliability. Reliability reduces monitoring. Reduced monitoring prevents mental loops. Loops require attention to sustain. Attention is now free. Free attention does not spiral. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains smooth and calm. Let awareness rest briefly at the center of the head, not concentrating, just noticing. Noticing without effort keeps perception clear. Clarity does not accelerate. Acceleration was driven by urgency. Urgency is gone. Inhale continues evenly. Exhale remains longer, regulating. The nervous system continues stabilizing automatically. Automatic processes don't fatigue. Fatigue would create instability. Instability does not occur. Notice how this state feels durable. Durable means dependable. Dependable regulation supports clear functioning. Functioning does not require overthinking. Another breath completes itself. Exhale stays long and steady. This is the level where the reset holds. Holding does not require attention. This rhythm continues even when attention moves elsewhere. Stability continues strengthening without effort. This stability is already familiar to your system. It settles into the background naturally. Background regulation does not pull attention. When regulation runs quietly, the mind stays clear. Clear does not mean busy. Notice how the breath continues, without interruption. Inhale arrives evenly. Exhale remains longer and smooth. That pattern keeps internal signals predictable. Predictable signals reduce the need to monitor. Monitoring fueled overthinking before. Let awareness rest lightly in the body again. No effort, no checking. Light awareness prevents fixation. Fixation was never necessary. Another breath completes itself. Exhale stays extended and regulating. With each cycle, heart rhythm remains adaptable. Adaptability supports calm responsiveness. Responsiveness does not rush. It waits when nothing is required. Notice the lower chest remains open. There's no pull inward. An open chest reduces internal command signals. Reduced commands quiet mental narration. Narration fades when it isn't needed. Silence does not feel empty. Inhale arrives naturally. Exhale continues a little longer. That extension continues supporting Barorflex balance. Balanced response keeps emotional tone neutral. Neutral tone prevents escalation. Nothing builds momentum. Notice how attention can move without dragging thoughts along. Movement stays smooth. Smooth movement prevents loops from forming. Loops relied on friction. Friction is absent now. The system recognizes ease. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains calm and steady. Let awareness include the whole field of sensation again. No edges. No center. A unified field reduces sensory competition. Less competition means fewer mental interruptions. Interruptions were a sign of overload. Overload is no longer present. Inhale stays even. Exhale continues longer and smooth. This rhythm supports vagal tone without sedation. Alertness remains steady now and can soften naturally if rest follows. Steady alertness supports decision clarity. Clarity does not hurry. Notice the jaw and face remain neutral. No tightening returns. Neutral facial tone lowers sensory amplification. Lower amplification keeps perception accurate. Accurate perception does not overinterpret sensation. Interpretation was part of overthinking. Another breath completes itself. Exhale stays extended and regulating. You may notice that thoughts appear less often now. When they appear, they pass cleanly. Clean passing does not leave residue. Residue created mental weight before. Weight is gone. The system remains light. Inhale arrives steady. Exhale remains longer. This consistency reinforces reliability. Reliable regulation does not surprise the system. Without surprise, there's no spike in attention. Spikes fueled loops. Loops cannot restart here. Conditions are no longer present. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains smooth as less than #0. 1 hash is greater than and calm. Let awareness rest again in the legs and feet. Feel the grounded contact. Grounded contact anchors orientation in the present. Present orientation blocks future scanning. Future scanning requires tension. Tension remains low. Inhale continues evenly. Exhale stays longer and regulating. This pattern continues reinforcing calm presence. Presence does not drift. Drift would signal fatigue. Fatigue is not occurring. Notice how the body feels capable and steady. Capability does not rush. Rushing was driven by urgency. Urgency is offline. Another breath completes itself. Exhale remains extended and calm. The system now treats this state as the default. Default states persist without effort. Persistence prevents relapse into overthinking. Relapse requires pressure. Pressure is absent. The reset holds. This rhythm continues even when attention moves elsewhere. Stability remains active and reliable. This regulation is already familiar to your system. It remains steady even as awareness moves. Movement no longer disrupts balance. When balance holds, the mind doesn't re-engage urgency. Urgency has no signal to return. Notice how breathing continues evenly, without attention. Inhale arrives calm and predictable. Exhale leaves longer is less than #0. 1 hash is greater than smooth, regulating. That longer exhale maintains internal stability. Stability keeps pressure sensors within range. Within range means no alarm. Let attention rest briefly, behind the eyes. Not narrowing, not searching. A settled gaze reduces sensory demand. Reduced demand keeps cognition quiet. Quiet cognition does not shut down. It stays ready without tension. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains longer and even. Heart rhythm continues adapting smoothly. Adaptation prevents sharp internal changes. Without sharp changes, thoughts don't surge. Surges required instability. Notice the chest remains open and neutral. No bracing returns. Bracing would signal threat. Threat signaling stays inactive. Inhale arrives naturally again. Exhale continues longer, steady. This rhythm maintains baroflex stability. Stable baroflex keeps emotional tone level. Level tone prevents future projection. Projection depended on urgency. Urgency is absent now. There is no trigger for it. Notice how attention can widen without effort. Widening does not dilute clarity. Clarity remains intact as awareness expands. Expansion reduces fixation. Fixation was the mechanism of overthinking. That mechanism is inactive. Another breath completes itself. Exhale stays extended and calm. Let awareness include the spine from top to bottom. Feel upright support without tension. Support reduces internal effort signals. Effort signals once fueled mental strain. Strain is no longer present. The system recognizes ease. Inhale arrives steady. Exhale remains longer and smooth. This pattern keeps carbon dioxide tolerance stable. Stable tolerance prevents breath-driven urgency. Breath no longer accelerates thought. Thought remains optional. Notice the face stays neutral, without instruction. No tightening forms. Neutral expression lowers sensory amplification. Lower amplification keeps perception accurate. Accurate perception does not exaggerate sensation. Exaggeration is absent. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains long and regulating. You may notice that pauses now feel natural. Natural pauses do not demand filling. Filling was driven by urgency. Urgency remains offline. Inhale arrives evenly again. Exhale continues longer. This consistent rhythm reinforces trust in the body. Trust reduces monitoring. Reduced monitoring prevents mental loops from reforming. Reforming requires attention pressure. Attention pressure is absent. The loop cannot rebuild. Notice how the body stays ready without restlessness. Readiness does not mean urgency. Calm readiness supports clear action when needed, not before. Another breath completes itself. Exhale remains extended and calm. This state carries forward reliably. Reliability prevents sudden shifts. Nothing spikes. Nothing collapses. Notice how attention can move outward briefly, without disturbance. The internal state remains unchanged. Unchanged states are stable states. Stability does not require protection. Inhale arrives steady. Exhale continues longer and smooth. The nervous system continues regulating in the background. Background regulation does not fade. It remains available as you stay present. Present awareness holds steady. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains calm and regulating. Calm alertness continues steadily and can soften naturally if rest follows. Nothing signals completion. The system remains exactly as it is. This pace continues even when attention moves elsewhere. The regulation holds without effort. This regulated baseline is already familiar to your system. It continues without effort or supervision. Notice how there is no internal signal to change anything. No adjustment forms. Inhale arrives evenly and unforced. Exhale leaves longer. Smooth is less than #0. 1 hash is greater than regulating. That longer exhale continues stabilizing internal pressure signals. Stabilized pressure keeps urgency inactive. Inactive urgency does not reassemble. There is no stored momentum. Nothing is preparing to restart. Notice how the body is not leaning forward or pulling back. Posture remains neutral. Neutral posture reduces muscular readiness. Reduced readiness keeps alert circuits quiet. Inhale arrives again, steady and predictable. Exhale remains longer, calm, controlled. This rhythm maintains heart rate variability within a stable range. Stable variability supports calm alertness. Calm alertness remains clear and responsive, not heavy, not withdrawn. Notice the face remains neutral, without instruction. Jaw stays loose. A neutral face maintains low threat detection. Low detection keeps the nervous system quiet. Quiet remains clear and alert. Nothing dulls. Inhale continues evenly. Exhale stays longer and smooth. That longer exhale continues reinforcing vagal activation. Activation remains steady, not sedating. Steady activation supports grounded presence. Presence remains available as attention moves. Notice how awareness can widen without disruption. No narrowing forms. Without narrowing, fixation does not return. Without fixation, overthinking cannot restart. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains extended and calm. The body treats this state as normal. Normal means reliable. Reliable states persist without reminders. They do not fade when attention shifts. Notice how the chest stays open without effort. No guarding returns. Guarding would signal threat. Threat signaling remains inactive. Inhale arrives steady again. Exhale continues longer. Baroflex response remains stabilized. Stabilization keeps emotional tone neutral. Neutral tone prevents future projection. Projection does not begin. Notice how thoughts, if they appear, remain optional. They do not pull attention forward. Pull requires urgency. Urgency is absent. Another breath completes itself. Exhale stays long and regulating. The system recognizes this pace as sustainable. Sustainability removes monitoring. Without monitoring, mental effort stays low. Low effort prevents relapse. Notice the lower body remains grounded. Weight is evenly distributed. Even distribution reduces compensatory tension. Reduced tension keeps internal alerts quiet. Inhale arrives evenly. Exhale remains longer and smooth. This rhythm continues regulating carbon dioxide tolerance. Stable tolerance prevents breath-driven anxiety. Breath no longer accelerates thought. Thought remains clear is less than #0. 1 is greater than and slow. Notice how attention can move outward briefly, without disturbance. The internal state remains unchanged. Unchanged states indicate stability. Stability remains in the background. Another breath cycle completes itself. Exhale remains calm and extended. There is no internal cue to disengage. No drop in clarity. No shift toward heaviness. Heaviness would indicate shutdown. Shutdown is not occurring. Alertness remains available and can soften naturally if rest follows. Inhale arrives quietly. Exhale continues longer, regulating. This state continues in the background, as it always has. Stable. Available. Unchanged.